Hi, I'm John. Today we're going to use Superfine Damar Retouch Varnish from Winsor Newton. I'm going to put it on with a brush, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. And basically, yeah, it'll be kind of a quick and easy demo here. All right, so we're going to use this Superfine Retouch Varnish, and this is a little dry and sunken in. I'll show you what that looks like. That means when we look at it here, it's got a little, the sheen is uneven. So Joe is getting to the end of the painting process here, and one of the things we'll do is, one of the things you could do to check your values is to use a little retouch varnish, and you can do this with a spray one, and this one's a brush one. Thank you. So you're going to use this, you're going to put this on the palette here, and you're going to get a clean soft brush, which this qualifies as. And then when you put it on, you're basically going to put it on in this even soft manner here. You're trying to get it even with no drips. This is a Damar Retouch Varnish, so you have to be careful with how you're putting it on. Basically, you're checking this way. If there's no brown coming off the brush, because it's basically a brown painting, then you're in a safe zone here. The danger of using a Damar Retouch Varnish is that Damar has, it's basically Damar resin that's activated with turpentine. So the turpentine can actually pull your paint up, but we're doing really well here. So as you can see here, there's a big difference between the sheen between right here where I put it on and down here. So as I put this on, you can see why we do this. So if you're doing a very fine painting and you want to reinvigorate your darks, this is a way to check what it is. Your darks, and especially your smoky midtones, it's going to give a luster back to them. So you're basically putting enough on here to get this even. And I'm being very kind of ginger with how I'm putting it on. If you have a sheen with this, you can cross brush, but there should basically be no drips, and this should go on in a smooth and delicate fashion. And anything that is uneven with your paint surface is going to show up when you do this. So if you find that you're putting it on and maybe your details are coming up or something gets smushy, stop. Thankfully that didn't happen. I was almost hoping it would happen so we would have a good bad demonstration opportunity, but it has not happened yet. So if your paint film hasn't completely dried, don't use this. Like if you painted this morning and it's late afternoon and you're like, hey, I'm gonna read it sunken in, it's probably not dry yet.
No, this was a month old.
Oh, a month old, fabulous. Yeah, it's
anyway.
bone dry as it's gonna get for oil paint, because your layers are really thin. Sometimes if you have really thick paint, it won't be dry after a month, and like if you have a color like alizarin crimson or something like that, some of them don't really dry as quickly. But look at the difference there between the left and the right. So you can actually accurately gauge your values now. So if I was at this stage of the painting and then the question was like, well, what do I got to do to finish? I don't know, because I can't tell, because the values aren't accurate. It's sort of a moot point. And you don't really know what they're going to be like until you do this.
Once you start, you have to do the whole thing?
You do not have to do the whole thing, but you would be guessing in the areas that you're not redoing. And keep in mind, like, you don't want to do this all the time. As students, you want to do this as often as you need to. As artists that are learning, you want to do this as often as you need to. If I was being a professional about it, though, and I was thinking about finish with my paintings, I would do it as little as possible, because the more paint you put on, the more tendency you have for cracking and just gunky paint layers and everything. But as students, you should be making gunky paint layers because you're learning and you're trying to see things accurately. So it's kind of a bit of a bifurcated answer there.
Is the end goal with this retouch varnish to go back into the painting? Or is this the equivalent of varnishing, which you'd have to wait like 6 months to do?
No, retouch is not varnish.
Right.
Retouch, you're only retouching to be able to see your dark and mid-tone values.
Okay.
Full stop. Like, that's why you do that.
What is the, when would you do oiling out versus retouch?
What's the difference between oiling out? Like, what's your understanding of oiling out or oiling in?
It just brings out, it saturates the color again, so you can see the light darks.
the surface.
Okay, so what's the difference between oiling in and retouch?
The retouch has a harder surface, it dries faster.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And again, I don't quite understand. Are we retouching because Joe's going to revisit this painting, or are we retouching because she's done?
I don't know what Joe's going to do with the painting. That's up to Joe.
Okay.
Joe's now has the ability to look at the painting. So we're looking at this. Now I have a little brown coming up. This is a very light amount of brown to come up. If this was really reinvigorating this would be brown and kind of really gross. I wanted to show the difference between the before and after. That's pretty dramatic. I wanted to thank Joe Feldman for letting me use the painting and hope this was instructive. Check out our videos for more. Thanks, guys.